I'm carving my box here. I'm carving lettering in the side of my box. And thought I would take a break and talk to the camera for a bit while I'm doing it. I want to talk specifically about the last video I did on this channel, where I talked about 3D printing. And as is almost always the case, people misinterpreted what I said. And I guess there's various reasons for that. I mean, you have to follow along with everything that I'm saying. You can't take what I'm saying out of context. It all goes together, basically. I started out talking about the skills required for doing woodworking. Even basic woodworking, you need to develop some physical skill. Whereas for something like 3D printing, because I kind of moved into that, you don't need those physical skills, okay? They come packed up with the equipment. That's what I was saying. The ability to make the parts is inside the box with the 3D printer. It's not in your hands, unlike woodworking. In woodworking, you come out to your shop, you grab a piece of wood, you start cutting it, planing it, sanding it, shaping it. You end up with a woodworking project that is done physically by you. Whereas a 3D printing, there are skills involved. That's not what I was saying. People thought I was saying there was no skills involved. There are skills involved, but you can gain all those skills sitting on your bum in your recliner in front of your computer. Laptop on your lap. You can design the parts. You can learn how to design the parts, all of the pitfalls you're going to run into when printing, all of the problems, because everybody else has been doing this stuff for several years now, has documented it, okay? However, you can't sit down in front of a computer and learn how to woodwork. The only way you're going to learn how to woodwork is to go out and start woodworking, okay? Now, I've got a great example here of what I'm talking about. This lettering that I'm carving inside this box. All right? Now, I don't do a lot of carving, but I have the ability to do it. It might not be as good looking as some other guys do, or it may not be as fast. It definitely won't be as fast because, if you do this more often, you build up that skill, you get quicker at it, right? First, you need to get, the expression is, first you need to get good, and then you can get quick, right? So, the comparison here is to CNC. All right, you can do this lettering 100% what I'm doing here, and do a much neater job, probably, with CNC. But you don't have to physically touch the parts to get those letterings put in. All you need to do is program the machine to do it, and the machine will do it. Now, there are skills involved in that, like I said before, but the physical ability is resting inside the machine. That's what's doing the physical work. So that takes that ability out of your hands. Like, you may not ever be able to do this here by hand with chisels, but you could do it day and night with the CNC. When I said in the last video that I could see at some point in the future 3D printing replacing some of the small scale woodworking, like the kind of projects that I do and others do. This is a good example, small box, right, that you put something in. I meant for people that don't have that woodworking ability yet, and they watch videos on YouTube, and they see people like me doing this stuff, and they say, hey, that looks easy. And then they go out and they get some wood, and they buy some tools, and they start doing it, and they get disappointed because the results that they're getting are not very good, okay? They don't look good, they probably don't work well, like I said in the video. However, the 3D printing thing, like I said, the ability to build a part, beautiful looking parts, is already inside the machine. You don't have to do that. All you need to do is learn how to use the machine. That's not the same. Like when you buy a set of chisels, the ability to carve the wood doesn't come with the chisels. You have to learn that ability, okay? You can read about carving. You can read every bit of information there was ever written about carving. Look at all the carving that was ever done throughout history. It's still not going to let you know how to carve. You have to physically grab the chisel and start carving to get the results you're looking for. It's a few hours later, and I've got the box finished, as you can see. And it's got a wooden hinge on the back here. I'm sure the people are going to say the hinge is clunky or it's too big, but I like it. This is the same hinge that I used on the, what was that? The treasure box that I made a few years ago. Same type of hinge, more or less. Okay. Now, I'm kind of mystified as to what kind of wood this is. It almost looks like cherry, except it can't be cherry. I mean, who would use a piece of cherry to make a door sill, you know? It's harder than cherry, too. It's as hard as maple. So I'm guessing it's some kind of maple. But it doesn't look like maple. You know, it doesn't have the color. It's got that, I don't know. Anyway, so I wanted to finish this one up. I came back on again to talk briefly about the workshop thing. The rant part of that video, which wasn't actually a rant. You know, I get those comments all the time. Like I said, other people probably do as well. Common thing. I don't know if I put it correctly in the thing, but what I was really trying to say is that none of us, unless the very few really fortunate ones, none of us are born with a shop full of equipment, something you build. And I've had several people in the comments of that video say that, you know. You start off with a few tools. You start off mainly with, like I said there, the will to do something. And you build from there, right? Like, I wasn't born with a shop. You know, I moved here. This is just a shell. I built everything that's here. I worked hard to get here. This is this is the ingredient that a lot of people are simply not seeing these, especially young people, and even older people do as well. They take everything for granted. Everything that surrounds them, they take it all for granted. Like it's just there. You know, it's just there because. It's here because. The shop I have is because. It's not any amount of work that someone does to put it there. It's just because.
Sharon?
Yes?
How do you not blow your brains out being married to him?
Excuse me?
Shall I repeat the question?
You're a guest in our house.
A very honest one.